we play this out again. Do you think LeBron knew in advance?
Yes.
How far in advance now? More than an hour leading into it?
No, because it seemed like the way this unfolded was under a certain cloak of darkness, because you don't want that deal to fall through. And obviously it was hugely explosive. So not a lot of people aware of this, because when the news dropped on, what was it, a
Saturday night?
It was almost midnight on the weekend. It was crazy the way that this all went down. Tell us. And by the way, not
midnight
just
on the weekend. Smalls is heading out. I've been asleep for 10 hours.
I was out.
Sunday morning.
The whole bar was talking about it because we all thought it was fake. But anyway, you don't just get LeBron's blessing. If you involve LeBron, Clutch is involved, who's obviously incredibly influential. So do I think that they knew days in advance? Maybe not. But I do think that as the second best player to ever play this game and the current face of your organization, who needs to have a certain amount of, he needs to be in a good headspace about certain things, I think it's the respectful thing to give him a heads up that you're making a massive move.
No, I don't think he knew.
At all.
I think he found out the day of the trade.
But what you're saying is
earliest. I don't think he.
But what you're saying is
because there's no way you can keep a trade this massive under wraps. There's no shot that happens. I think this was person to person. Nico Harrison having a relationship with Rob Pelinka, going back to the Nike days when Rob represented Kobe and Nico was with the brand. I think it has to go back to that, and those two having conversations, kicking around the idea of it, and then deciding to get the blessing of ownership before they execute it. I think this thing happened really quickly, but it's something that's been percolating on both ends for a while now.
See, that's the difference. What you just said, the last part, is that maybe it was easier for the Lakers knowing those two ain't what they used to be.
Exactly.
Not hate each other.
No.
Because they still dapped each other up. But I just thought it was interesting.
That was more of that perfunctory dap. It would be a story if we didn't dap each other up. So let's go ahead and do it. But as I do it and give you the bro hug, I'm going to roll my eyes too. One of those deals.
It's tense. You give the little hug and it's like the pat on the back. A little tension here.
Exactly.
I think that's an underrated storyline with all of this. It's amazing. The shock moves that have happened across the NBA. We saw the Luka trade. Obviously, returns to Dallas last night. A couple days ago, we saw Michael Malone, Denver Nuggets championship coach, getting fired. And Brian Windhorst, NBA insider on Get Up yesterday, 8 a.m. Eastern on ESPN, had this to say about why the Nuggets wanted to make this move.
He thought if the Nuggets would have some playoff success, that it would.
Gets the credit.
No.
Nuno gets the credit.
For booking him. making sure he's on the show.
That's right.
Then you get the credit. Jason Day, plus 10,000. Use promo code USL, ESPN Bet. That's our guy. We're betting for the Masters.
They're going to give Nuno a green jacket, too, when Jason Day wins.
What are your measurements?
Hold on a second. Are we in agreement we will buy Nuno a green jacket?
Yes, I'm in.
1,000%.
We're in on that.
With true green written on it.
Anyone wants to send that, but the arms are short, guys. Short.
We'll get your measurements.
Got you. We'll figure it out.
By the way, one other thing, and I know obviously we're going to talk a ton about the Luka return last night. One other thing I just want to throw out there. We may have been wrong about something. Starting to think LeBron knew.
What do you mean? His response last night when he was hugging Luka, is this what you're talking about?
LeBron and Anthony Davis don't seem like best of friends anymore.
No. Well, that's the thing with LeBron. You just got to give it time. Hang around him a little bit long enough.
And what?
And a relationship will run its course. We talked about it yesterday on the show. He hadn't met a coach he didn't want to fire.
Eventually, he did not know the entire time.
LeBron is going to wear on people and vice versa, and they're going to part company. That doesn't mean that you can't have success at a really high level. You can't be mad at the Lakers making the Anthony Davis trade. They got a championship out of it. And you can't be mad at them making the trade for Luka Doncic because it feels like they're poised to go on a deep playoff run, potentially get to the NBA Finals.
I know, but I just want to make it clear. Like I said the entire time, I thought they took their franchise back. The moment they drafted Bronny, they didn't have to then tell LeBron about this, because if they told LeBron, he may step in because Anthony Davis was his guy, and they just told him 5 minutes before it happened. I think that was naive. That was not a love fest last night.
But you knew what time it was because AD waived his trade kicker to allow the deal to go through. You knew what time it was. He didn't want to be. They were tired of each other. Whether you want to blame Bron, whether you want to blame AD, they were tired of each other. They needed a change of scenery.
It's a good way to
and
put
both of them got it. Nobody's fault, nobody to blame. They just wanted a change of scenery. And for LeBron, it looks like it's going to work out because now he'll have a chance to contend for a championship in the twilight of his career.
So if I ask you guys...
Ask the issues, and I think he wanted to fire Michael Malone now when he basically could. Because if they go into the playoffs and Jokic carries them, he didn't think it was the right direction for the team. He even referenced that he was considering this earlier in the year, And then the Nuggets had an 8-game win streak. And I think he was thinking about doing it earlier. Now, if your retort to that is, why do you take a coach who is the winningest coach in franchise history, who has been your coach for 10 years, the only coach Nikola Jokic has ever known, and why do you do this and not give him this playoffs? Now, that is a fair question, and I don't have a good answer for that. But it seems to me that the ownership didn't want Michael Malone to wiggle out of this by having a good postseason run.
So let me get this right.
This is unbelievable.
You wanted to fire him in 2023, but he went on a run and won a championship. And so you fired him 3 games before the end of the regular season because you were afraid he was going to do it again?
That's the most amazing thing. When the Grizzlies...
I thought the point of the exercise was to actually win a championship.
Oh, shoot. We wanted to fire him, but he won a chip? Darn it. What are we talking about?
That would be
What are we
like the
talking
New
about?
York Giants firing Tom Coughlin before the regular season finale against the Dallas Cowboys in 2011 because they were afraid that he was going to do what he did in 2007 and win a championship to save his job, which he did. Like I tried to bring it back to my experience. Like that would be the equivalent, which sounds absolutely ridiculous.
Because it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's crazy.
With all of the things on the board in terms of different issues that factor into the math to make this kind of decision, I did not expect success to be that. Fear of success this playoffs.
So we all agree that Jokic is the best player in the world, right? I was sitting there. I heard Brian Windhorst talk about it, and it really struck me. We're talking about the best player in the world, games before the playoffs, being without a coach and without a GM, being unmoored. How is that good for your organization? How is that?
That's not what they're worried about. They just told you that.
They're worried about having success. They're worried.
This is totally different than the Grizzlies. Even though it's a similar thing, like firing a Grizzlies thing for me was they didn't think they were going to make a run with Taylor Jenkins. How did they spark this thing and get an early start on next year?
Agreed.
Yes.
This is they thought they would make a run with Michael Malone. How do they prevent it? Which is amazing because we'll get into this. But what happens in this postseason, I think, is going to determine a lot of people's decision-making moving forward because the way a team like Oklahoma City is built and the way a team like the Lakers are built are night and day different. And playing the results here is going to be something to keep an eye on going into the summer. And we're nervous about playing the results of them actually winning it all. Like the case scenario for them was winning it all. They actually didn't want to get the job done like Granger, CC.
Man, they need to fire their PR team. They fired the GM and the head coach. They got to fire.